What is up, my fellow Kid Kritic fans out there? And we are back with the Kid Kritic Movie Podcast. It is episode 4, and I know I said when we did the Spider-Man Far From Home spoiler review that was probably going to be the longest episode. Hands down, this will probably be the longest episode because boy, do we got a packed house today. We got to run over all the shenanigans that happened at Comic-Con, Marvel with Phase 4, the Terminator panel, and a bunch of other stuff. Game of Thrones was there. The Russo brothers had their panel. The Emmy nominations came out, and there's a bunch of whole other stuff. Funko Pops at San Diego Comic-Con. I got mine. I don't know if you got yours, but I definitely got mine. And with that said, guys, let's get ready to talk movies and all that other fun stuff. So without further ado, start this podcast. Hello there, my fellow Kid Kritic fans, and we are back with episode 4, like I've said before. Oh, drop the mic. Boom. Alright, so here we go. Let's start talking some movies and all that other fun stuff, and I want to start talking about a movie I watched a couple of days ago. It was actually yesterday that I watched it. And last night I was like, I feel like watching a good old action movie, And I watched True Lies starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, the best in the business. And I mean, it's a very fun action movie. I do enjoy that movie quite a bit. It's not my favorite Arnold movie. I still probably put like either Predator or one of the Terminator movies, the first 2 Terminator movies, obviously. But the movie's really good, and obviously they're making the series, which I am super duper excited for. Now, this line makes me crack up in True Lies like every single time. Obviously, Arnold has some beautiful lines in the movie, but it's not even from Arnold. It's from Tom Arnold. And my favorite line in that movie is when they're talking about having kids and all that, and Tom Arnold's like, yeah, kids give you 15 seconds of joy and 30 years of misery. That is a brilliant joke, but anyways, I just want to talk about that line. That line is fabulous. And also got me thinking, True Lies is a lot like, it's basically an older version of Kingsman and Men in Black, how it's just like the Secret Service that in the U.S. that obviously it's not a service that barely anybody knows about. That's why it's called a Secret Service, and it's undercover, and it's kind of like an older version sort of of Kingsman and Men in Black, so it kind of caught me thinking about that. And also, it's a very fun action movie, period, and I'm very excited to see the series coming out for it. Arnold better come back. I swear, if he doesn't come back, I'm going to be very, very, very upset. And I mean, True Lies did the whole horse action sequence before John Wick Chapter 3 did. I mean, the horse was in the elevator. I mean, come on, it can't get any better than that. But anyways, if you haven't seen True Lies, you gotta see True Lies. It's one of the better Arnold action movies ever. I mean, is there even a bad Arnold action movie? I mean, no, there isn't. But yeah, True Lies is awesome. And it also got me thinking, obviously, it's a James Cameron. He directed it, and then as he produced it as well. And it caught me thinking, producers, like the title of a producer isn't really appreciated as much these days because there's so many producers. Because if you look at credits, there's an executive producer, there's the producer, there's a co-producer, there's so many producers now, executive producer. It's like there's so many producers to this point that the title of producer it's not as important anymore, and that kind of sucks for somebody who's been a part of a project and as the producer of a project and like brought it to the studios and everything, and to not be recognized because the title is there's just so many producers on a movie nowadays that person just doesn't really get recognized as much anymore. And it also got me thinking about that. I'm like, so like that kind of sucks. But anyways, yeah, I saw True Lies, and it's just a fantastic movie. So, I wanted to move on to something else that's very different from True Lies, and it got me very upset. This got me more upset than seeing people fight at Disneyland. And so I went to go see Lion King Thursday night, which is a fantastic movie. And I'm sorry, I get why people don't like it, because it's like it's like the original, which I didn't really care for if it was the same exact thing or different. It was definitely like the original. But anyways, So I went to go watch Lion King Thursday night in IMAX packed house, and then the movie starts. I'm telling you, I hate this. I just wanted to just throw people out the movie theater when they do this. I hate when people take out their phones during the movie. I hate it. I don't care if the movie stinks. Okay, I get it if your phone rings and you turn it off, alright? That happens. Okay, I get it if you, peek at your phone for a second, alright? People were taking pictures of the movie. I get you're excited about watching The Lion King, but really? And then this person, left a flash on, and, 6 people on the first half hour of The Lion King had their phones out. Oh my god. I just wanted to grab them by the neck and throw them out. It had me furious. The people in front of us were checking their Stubbs account. Really? You can't check that another day? And then another person was texting, another person was taking a picture, another person was taking a video. It's come on. Come on. I was about to demolish the first 30 minutes of that movie, which is why I just need to see the movie again. But, oh my goodness, if you take out your phone during a movie, let's just say you better not be in the same theater as me, because I'd be very upset. Alright, I just needed to vent on that, because I'm not even going to speak about that topic anymore. But anyways, starting to get into some more movie news. Halloween is getting some sequels, I hear. I mean, is that kind of obvious? I mean, Halloween made tons and tons and tons of money on a low-budget movie. That's what Blumhouse does. And, look, people loved the movie. I liked it. I didn't love it as much as other people did. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as the original one. But it was definitely one of the best Halloween movies we've had in a long time. I liked it. There's some stuff that I just did not like at all that they did with that movie. But I did like it quite a bit. You can check out the review on the Kid Kritic channel, by the way. I did a wonderful skit in that review. It's just, yeah. Anyway, so they're planning on doing 2 sequels, and I believe the second one's called Halloween Kills, and the other one's called Halloween Ends or something like that. And I know the second one comes out 2020, and the third one comes out 2021. And there's actually rumors before this was confirmed that both sequels are gonna come out in the same month. I'm like, no, you don't. For me, that's exciting, but that's just not a smart move. But it's not doing that. It's coming out back-to-back years, and it's being shot back-to-back, which I think is really cool for the horror genre, because it's something that you've never seen before. So I think that's really cool. Now, will this work? I don't know. I mean, the team behind it's really good. While I didn't love the Halloween 2018 as much as other people, I did like it quite a bit. And Jamie Lee Curtis is obviously going to return, but people were like, what? Michael Myers died. Have you not seen a horror movie, slasher movie ever? I mean, come on. As soon as they turned it away from that fiery house. Oh, by the way, spoilers for Halloween 2018. If the fact that it turned away, the camera just pulled off of Michael Myers in the house. I mean, it's just obvious. I mean, that guy lives. It's Michael Myers. He never dies. Anyways, so yeah, it's getting 2 sequels. I'm very excited because I'm a big Halloween fan. The original Halloween is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I mean, the score is awesome. I hope John Carpenter comes back and does the score, because he has one of the best horror scores of all time, just behind the score of The Shining. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. You know what else is getting a sequel? Zombieland. That is right, boys and girls. Zombieland is getting a sequel. It's already announced, obviously, earlier this year, or long before. I mean, it's been talked about for ages and ages. And it's going to be called Zombieland Double Tap, which was also announced earlier this year. The new poster came out, and I had a feeling that a trailer was going to come out today, and it didn't, which it doesn't matter. I'm going to see the movie anyways, because I love the first Zombieland so much. It is amazing. I could watch it over and over and over again. It's one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. Jesse Eisenberg is great. Woody Harrelson is awesome. Emma Stone is awesome. And Bill Murray, he is just phenomenal in that movie. And he's probably going to come back for this one, even though, spoiler alert, again, for Zombieland, that even though he died. It was just such a great death scene. But yes, he is rumored to come back, and I'd love to see him come back. So, anyways, yes, Zombieland Double Tap has a new poster, and it's a pretty solid poster, one that I would hang up because it's pretty cool. I mean, it looks kind of the same as the first Zombieland poster, so nothing new there. So I was gonna talk about Thor 4 right now, but I'll save that later for Phase 4. Oh snap! I know, so many Thor puns. It's like, goodness gracious. So let's get down to the juicy stuff. Let's get down to these Emmys. Game of Thrones dethrones the Emmys. Get it? Game of Thrones dethrones the Emmys. Some people are mad. Some people are happy. I'm happy. And that's all that matters. So Game of Thrones takes over the Emmys. 32 nominations. 32 nominations. Come on. Now, I loved the season of Game of Thrones, if you didn't know. Ooh, my God, I'm dropping rhymes this episode. But I did love this episode. I had some problems with the series finale. I thought it did come off a little bit dull. But I thought it was decent finale. But overall, I did love this season. Is it my favorite season? No, season 6 is still my favorite. It's in my top 5. Probably not top 3, but definitely top 5. So I quite enjoyed the season. So it is nominated. I'm gonna go over the Emmys like briefly because I haven't watched all the shows because I've only watched like Game of Thrones, Barry, When They See Us, and Chernobyl are like the only ones I've seen basically. So like, Game of Thrones is nominated for drama series, and to be honest, I see it. Game of Thrones wiping the floor, mainly because it's one of the biggest shows of all time. It's revolutionary when it comes to like the effects, and it's a movie basically. Like, did you see those dragons? Those dragons are killer. Literally, they're killer. And it's just revolutionary. It's a series. It's the season finale, or the final season, I should say, of Game of Thrones, except for the prequel series, which I actually started shooting. And I think that's also going to persuade it to ending up wiping the floor this Emmys. And then, so it's nominated for drama series. And the comedy series, Barry's nominated, so I'm very excited for that. Limited series, I swear. I mean, I kind of feel like When They See Us is going to end up winning. Again, I love the show. It's definitely one of the most powerful shows I've seen. But Chernobyl, oh my God, I can talk about the show all day. I want it to win. I hope it wins, but I have a feeling When They See Us is going to win. Let's see here. Other ones. Oh, then lead actor in a drama series. Again, Game of Thrones has a lot. Well, one person in here. He has Kit Harington in there for Game of Thrones, which I thought was pretty good. I mean, he's good in all of those seasons. And then lead actress in the drama series, Emilia Clarke, is in there, and you can say what you want about the character of Daenerys in this season. I think she was an awesome character. I mean, at the end, she's evil. She's just evil. But Emilia Clarke had a phenomenal performance as Daenerys. I mean, I kind of see her winning, to be honest. I mean, for the reasons I've said before, but she is phenomenal. Oh my God, she's really good. And Bill Hader's nominated for lead actor. He was pretty good in Barry. Let's see, going down the list here. And then Jared Harris nominated for Chernobyl. Oh, he was phenomenal in that. And then Jarrell Jerome nominated for When They See Us. He is so good. He's so good in that. And then Fosse Verdon, which I hear has fantastic performances, and then Sam Rockwell's nominated for that show. I hear that's a fantastic show, so I definitely want to watch that. I hear Michelle Williams is really good in that as well. Supporting actress in a drama series. I mean, this is all Game of Thrones. I mean, it's just one of these Game of Thrones actresses is going to win it. Gwendolyn Christie, who is probably the best she's ever been in Game of Thrones this season. Lena Headey. I believe that's how you say her name, right? Lena Headey. She's phenomenal. You can say what you want about that her death scene, but oh my God. And Sophie Turner for Game of Thrones. I want her to win, to be honest, because she was just so powerful in this season. It's phenomenal. But I see Maisie Williams taking the cake, and I mean, I'm not against that. I mean, she's fantastic. I think she's second to Sophie Turner. But they're both phenomenal. And Yeah. And yeah. So supporting actor in the drama series, again, Game of Thrones just absolutely just wipes the floor with this one. Alfie Allen, I think this is the first time he's been nominated as Reek or Reek. What's his actual name though? Forget his actual name. Oh man, it's bothering me now. But for Game of Thrones, he was also really good. I mean, he's been good the whole entire show. He's phenomenal. And then Nikolai Coster-Waldau for Game of Thrones as Jaime Lannister, and come on, he's one of the best actors, I think, best actors in the show. Peter Dinklage for Game of Thrones. I think he's gonna win again, and I'd probably choose him anyways because he's that good. Okay, and then for supporting actress in a comedy series, you have Sarah Goldberg for Barry. She's fantastic. Fleabag also here is a great show. I want to check that out. You have Anthony Carrigan for supporting actor in a comedy series for Barry. He is brilliant also in that. And I'm probably just gonna leave it there because I haven't seen all the shows, so therefore I'll leave the Emmys there. I'm gonna watch a lot of for the rest of the shows, and I'll keep you guys updated on my opinions on like Fleabag, Fosse Verdon, and all those other shows because I definitely want to catch up on those. So with the Emmys out of the way, let's get down to the good stuff. Let's get down to our Funko Pops. That's right, San Diego Comic-Con's around the corner. For you Funko Pop fans out there, you know that is a big time for Funko is San Diego Comic-Con. It is just crazy. Now, this year, I only wanted a couple. I wanted the Jaws one. I wanted the Up ones. I was debating about getting the Fox from Harry Potter. I was debating. It looked so cool. It looked really cool. And then I debated about getting the Toucan, and then I also wanted Batman holding the Comic-Con bag since I'm such a huge Batman fan and it's Comic-Con. So the first one I ended up getting was, I think, Wednesday night. I ended up getting the Up 2-pack of Carl and Ellie, the young Carl and Ellie from, was it Box Lunch, I believe it was from. I think it came out to be like 40 smackers, $40 if you want to say. And it looks really cool. Those pops look really cool. I was able to order those. I think it's going to come next weekend, which, by the way, when all my pops come, I will do an unboxing video of I just feel like that would be pretty cool. I want to try something new. So therefore, I want to do an unboxing video. So the next one I got was the Batman. I was able to get the Batman one. I was debating about the Toucan one, but I was like, if I were to go to Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars Land, would I rather spend my money there or on a Toucan Funko Pop, which does look cool? And so I leaned towards Galaxy's Edge, so I didn't get the Toucan. However, I did get the Batman. It did hurt because I really wanted that Toucan, but I did end up getting the Batman. And I also got the Jaws, which looks absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, from Entertainment Earth on Friday morning. It just looked fantastic. And then I went to Hot Topic. When I went to go watch Lion King, there was also a Hot Topic at that same mall, so I stopped by there, and they had a bunch of pops left over. Like, I also went to GameStop, they had a bunch left over. There just wasn't as many people, but they had a bunch of those pops left over, and I had it in my hand. I'm like, should I do it? And then I thought again, would I rather spend this money at Galaxy's Edge or on this pop? I ended up going with Galaxy's Edge, so therefore I didn't get it. So the ones that I got was the Carl and Ellie 2-pack and the Batman one and the Jaws one. That's what I ended up getting. So I will do an unboxing of those. I actually think one already came, but I'm not going to open it yet because then it's not going to be an unboxing. It's just going to be like a show and tell, basically. So that's how my Funko Pop San Diego Comic-Con journey went. And it went, I mean, like last year I didn't have a problem. This year I didn't have a problem. Last year, I definitely think last year's Funko Pops were better. This year was pretty solid. I mean, it wasn't nowhere near as good as last year's, but this one was solid. And yeah, it's actually funny because I bought all of them online, and it ended up being probably more expensive than all the ones I got last year, and I actually got more last year than this year. And it's probably mainly because of like shipping and all that, because the Jaws one ended up like $10 more because of shipping and tax and all that. And it's funny because I got a 2-pack, and then the Jaws one, and then Batman, and all that came out to be over $100. Where last year I got the Iron Man Mark One, the Wreck-It Ralph one, Conan, Cad Bane, and I got all of those, and I think it ended up being at the same price, probably because I got them in store. So yeah, it was pretty successful. So anyways, let's start getting into Comic-Con. Let's start off with the Terminator Dark Fate panel. Now, most people were like, this Comic-Con was boring. It's so boring and bland, and the trailer sucked. Well, I actually liked this year's Comic-Con. I liked the panels I watched. I liked the Terminator one, especially for what happened at the end, which I'll get to after this. So I basically took note of the important detail I got. And by the way, that bet with like Tim Miller and Arnold about how many F-bombs he would drop was just fantastic. I mean, obviously Arnold won because Tim Miller dropped like a gabillion F-bombs, and it's just awesome. I love Tim Miller. I loved what he did with Deadpool, and hopefully he does something good with Terminator Dark Fate finally. So basically, something that I actually really liked that Tim Miller said was that Terminator Dark Fate, and obviously it's retconning all the movies other than Judgment Day and the first Terminator, is that it's basically when it pays the consequences to Terminator 2, and I found that to be very interesting, and I think that could be something really cool about Dark Fate. Now, the more and more I see the trailer for this movie, the less and less I like the trailer at all. I'm just kind of getting tired of it. And I thought they were going to drop a trailer. I mean, they showed footage. I believe they showed footage at the panel. But I thought they were going to drop a trailer, but they didn't. And it's okay. I just want to see a new trailer because, to be honest, the first trailer didn't really seem very promising anymore. But I did like the fact that Tim Miller said that this kind of is the consequences of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and I think that's actually really, really cool. Now, something else that I was like, we've heard rumors that Terminator, what's this movie called? Terminator Dark Fate was not going to be very effects heavy. I mean, Tim Miller said it himself. I mean, it wasn't like a big, huge thing, but he said that this movie is going to be effects heavy. Now, is that a bad thing? I mean, it depends, but we've seen in the horrible Terminator movies before. I mean, we've seen it with, like, Jenny Smith. It's just not good. It's just not good. Maybe it is. Maybe it is good in this one, though, and hopefully the story helps out all these effects and makes us actually care for what's going on. So that got me a little bit on the edge there. So, and then you had Arnold come out, who's just fantastic, and he just said a bunch of lines that his iconic lines, which was great. And then Linda Hamilton came out looking badder than ever. And yeah, I mean, nothing really, other than that, nothing really went on. They started talking about their moments about filming and the importance of this movie to all the actors, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, with that said, let's head on to the end of that panel. When Conan O'Brien comes running out, everybody's walking out. He's like, "Stay in your seats!" And it's like, what's going on? And this is probably my favorite moment of all of Comic-Con. Yes, the Marvel panel was great, but this was probably my favorite moment. And then he's like, "You guys, I'm about to bring out the biggest movie star of all time, and you already know who it is." And he brings out Tom Cruise. I mean, it's just, come on. I mean, he shot Top Gun in San Diego. It's Tom Cruise, and it got me chills when he came out. And then he obviously showed the Top Gun Maverick trailer, and it was great. The jet stuff in this movie, oh my god, like, Tom Cruise is crazy. I said it in my trailer reaction, which make sure to check out. He's just an absolute maniac, and the movie just looks like tons and tons of fun. I mean, it just looks great. We saw somebody dies in the movie, obviously, because he was at Maverick was at that funeral. We did not see Iceman, however, so maybe it's him, but who knows? But the movie looks awesome, and that oh, this gave me absolute nerd chills. Just nerd chills. I wish I was there, but yes, I really enjoyed that panel. Now let's move on to another panel, and that is so, which is Game of Thrones. Now, before the panel, Friday, before the panel, it was like a couple days before that it was confirmed that Benioff and Weiss will not be coming to Comic-Con. Kit Harington also will be coming to Comic-Con. I think Lena Headey was another one. But yeah, it was a big gut punch. And people were like, wait, what? And it was probably, to me, it was a smart move. I wasn't even surprised they were going. I was surprised Game of Thrones in general was going, especially how divisive the season was. And they definitely addressed that in the panel, which I actually thought was pretty, I mean, I think it was good for them to address that, and I thought it was smart for them to pull out Benioff and Weiss, because who knows what type of chaos that would have happened if they did end up showing up. And just out of nowhere, they just went into it. Panel host started to ask the actors. I forgot who it was a she, I believe, who asked the actors if they were surprised of the negative backlash from season 8, and they're just like, everybody has their. Nikolai Coster-Waldau said, "Well, everybody has their own opinions, and just don't call people names." And I agree with that. I mean, if you don't like the season 8 of Game of Thrones, it's alright. If you love it like me, awesome. But just come on. I mean, I do think it was good for them to address that. But something that they did that was awesome is that they used coffee cups as their water or whatever they had in it, and I thought that was great. And then they started talking about even the water bottle. I do not know how people found that water bottle. Like, you were barely able to see that. I had to look twice at that image. I'm like, what water bottle? And then I looked. But I know most people didn't like that panel. I actually quite liked it. I thought it was lots of fun hearing their stories. Cause that's probably one of my favorite parts of seeing this stuff. Like at Star Wars Celebration, I loved hearing Jon Favreau talk about his stories behind The Mandalorian. I loved hearing their stories behind Game of Thrones. And I really enjoyed the panel. So another panel that I also watched. Now you may be wondering, but you didn't even go to Comic-Con. How did you watch these panels? I just searched up the panels and looked to see which random YouTube channel had it up. Even Variety had some up. Variety had the Marvel panel up. That's why I'll watch that one. But the Russo brothers was another one that I watched, and I see why people thought this one was boring. But for me, I find this stuff to be interesting about all the projects that they have coming up and the production company. So I found that to be very interesting. I see why people wouldn't. And I do like that the Russo brothers are kind of separating themselves from the MCU, and you also hear the same thing for Robert Downey Jr., but we'll see how long that lasts, especially if he has another Judge happen again. But I do like that they're separating themselves. They're producing a bunch of stuff. I mean, they're about to shoot Cherry, which is rated R, which is great with Tom Holland, and it's cool seeing Tom Holland doing new things. And I love the premise. It's about a military guy who has PTSD, I believe, and it's based off of a book, and I'm very, very interested in that. And they start shooting later this year, and I think it's really cool. And then they have their production company, obviously, and they're just producing a bunch of stuff. And they're doing Battle of the Planets, which is another one that they're producing. Well, they might direct, but they say if they direct, it will be live action, which also sounds really cool. So I think it's awesome that they're doing different things. They're producing a bunch of stuff. They're directing darker material. They're producing that 21 Bridges movie with Chadwick Boseman that I actually think looks pretty solid. And yeah, I think that I did enjoy that panel very much because I like that stuff. Either though I still see why people got bored by that, but I enjoyed it. So some breaking news came out before I started this podcast, and this will lead into the big thing. Avengers Endgame has finally taken out Avatar for that number one spot at the box office, or that number one worldwide spot of all time in the box office by $500,000. most people were like, oh, it's gonna beat Avatar in a heartbeat. Now I thought it was gonna beat Avatar a lot quicker, but however, like I've said before, we're in an age where people see movies the first weekend, and you definitely saw that. It took time for this movie is about to not beat Avatar. But then I saw somebody also make this point that when Avatar and all those sequels come out, and it was also funny seeing, by the way, in that Terminator panel, James Cameron on the set of the Avatar movies, like, what do you guys expect? I have a bunch of Avatar sequels. You guys are wondering how I'm going to make all this. I mean, I don't have time to go to Hall H. I'm busy making Avatar sequels. I thought that was a really funny video. But anyways, so somebody made this point that once those sequels come around, that they're gonna want to promote the sequel to the #1 box office film of all time. So they said that they're probably gonna re-release Avatar, and it's probably gonna end up retaking that #1 spot. And then somebody maybe and especially after it's been a while since that movie's come out. But somebody else may say, well, what if they release Endgame before, I don't know, then Avengers 5 comes out? That's also something else. So it's really, even though Endgame is #1 for now, you still never know. But I applaud Endgame. It definitely deserves it. I love the movie. I actually love it more than Avatar. I mean, I see why Avatar was the king for so long, because its effects and obviously. But either way, the mouse is the king overall, because he just... Do I even have to explain? So, anyways, that leads into the Marvel panel, where Kevin Feige comes out and just wrecks shop as always. Now, I still remember when Phase 3 was announced, and I watched that leaked... I forgot who posted the video of Kevin Feige announcing Phase 3, and it's probably one of my favorite videos I've ever watched. I've seen it like a billion times, because the reaction is so cool. And so Kevin Feige comes out, and first they do the Infinity Saga and the whole logo thing, so that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna go by order. I mean, I might jump out of order, but the first thing he goes into is the Eternals, which is, I mean, most of the stuff that was rumored ended up coming true. Even he addressed that. So the Eternals was definitely one of them in like the cast. I mean, Richard Madden was another one that was rumored. Angelina Jolie was rumored. Kumail Nanjiani was rumored, and that ended up confirmed. And then with a bunch of other cast members who I've seen their faces before, but I don't really quite remember their names. Now it's slated to come out November 2020. So a year away, and they're actually shooting in London, because they also addressed that. And it's also directed by Chloe Zhao, who, if you guys don't know, directed The Writer, which I also have a review up. That movie's fantastic. Now, we've seen examples before when directors come from little projects like The Writer and then end up taking on big, huge blockbusters like The Eternals, so who knows how that turns out. But I mean, we've also seen cases where it did work out, like the Russo brothers, for example. They've been knocking out of the park with all the Marvel movies. So I am very excited to see the Eternals, mainly because of the cast and the director. Now, I'm not very familiar with the Eternals. I know who they are, but I'm not very familiar with all their different comic book stories. But I am very excited to see that. So anyways, let's move on to the next one, which is Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, I'm very excited to see this. It's obviously going to be a Disney Plus streaming service. Now, this phase is definitely going to be very different from the first 3 phases, because not only is it going to be more cosmic, but it's also going to be a lot more streaming service based. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see how their marketing, Marvel's marketing and Disney's marketing, persuades people to go subscribe to the Disney Plus streaming service. And I'm sure if people see, oh man, this is connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I gotta get Disney Plus. How are they gonna show that in their marketing? We'll see, probably because they're gonna show the characters. They're probably like, oh, I'm gonna see this. So this is a great way to get people to Disney Plus, and it's gonna be very cool because it'll be the first time we see this, like TV shows and the movies connected to each other. Now you can say, oh, but Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Punisher and Iron Fist and so on were connected to the MCU. And I mean, not really. I mean, they're references, but they're not really connected. It's not like they showed up out of nowhere in an Avengers movie or Captain America or Iron Man movie. So, but this is like the first time we've seen this. It'll be very exciting. And that the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, obviously you have Daniel Bruhl coming back, which is awesome. But if you saw the panel, you saw Anthony Mackie's and Sebastian Stan's chemistry just on stage. And they just look like they were having a blast, and I cannot wait to watch this show. I have a feeling this is going to be just a fun, like, buddy cop show, and it's just going to be a blast to watch, and I cannot wait to see it. So let's move on to another one, which this one got me very excited when they started talking about it, and that was Shang-Chi. Now, Kevin Feige just dropped a bomb when he said that the Mandarin was coming back. I got very excited, mainly because I did not like the way the Mandarin was handled at all of Iron Man 3. It almost ruined the movie for me, to be honest. And obviously that short story thing that the Marvel came out with of the Mandarin came out. That was after Iron Man 3. And then something that we're like, wait, what? I've never seen that was an Ant-Man, that one guy who has like the Mandarin logo on his neck, the Mandarin brand or tattoo. People were like, what? I've never seen that. But I think it's awesome that they're going to use the actual Mandarin this time. And it's just going to be, I cannot wait to see how they're going to pull this off. And then, which gets me very, very excited. Now, I'm probably going to announce this guy's name wrong, but Simu Liu, I'm not even going to say it, who's playing Shang-Chi. Now, something that, I'm not familiar with him, but something that had me laughing was, he's like, I just got casted on Tuesday. It's like, man, Kevin Feige, I love how you do business around here. And I thought that was great. I mean, it's like you get cast one day and all of a sudden you're in Hall H at Comic-Con. I mean, for me, that's a dream, but that's crazy and sounds absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I'm very excited for Shang-Chi, especially that they're bringing out the Mandarin. And Shang-Chi comes out February 2021, and you kind of see Marvel taking that February spot, obviously with Black Panther, which was so successful, and then you also had Captain Marvel come out early March, so you kind of see them taking that earlier of the year spot, which is pretty smart because nothing really comes out around that time. And then you had WandaVision, and there's also kind of confirmed already that's going to take place in like in the 50s and 60s, and they didn't really talk about that. They were very brief when it came to this show, and I see why, because Vision's supposed to be dead. I mean, every superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is supposed to be dead, but something that I did notice is that, like, when they announced Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, and everybody else coming out on stage, it was a lot of older music from that time, and I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder if anybody caught on to that. I mean, I dig that music. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm also very excited to say it's going to be a lot weirder and a lot more mystical, and obviously if you have Scarlet Witch, it's going to be that way. And I've liked the Scarlet Witch character more and more and more. I actually liked her in Age of Ultron. I know some people, there's a good bunch of people who didn't, but I'm liking her more and more and more. So I am very excited to see that. And then Kevin Feige also dropped a semi-bomb, if you can say, is that Monica Rambeau is coming back. Obviously, she appeared in Captain Marvel, and this is a younger version of her, so that's also really cool how they're connecting it to Captain Marvel. I wonder if there's going to be any references to Captain Marvel. You never know. And something that always pops out to me is that Paul Bettany always wears white, and he looks very good in white. I just wanted to say that. He looks very good in white. He just looks like an absolute boss. And then, so they went from WandaVision to Loki, which I couldn't really get enough info from Loki. So, I mean, I'm excited because Tom Hiddleston is Loki. I can get that all day. I mean, Tom Hiddleston probably had one of the best appearances in Hall H of all time when he came out as Loki for Thor: The Dark World, I believe. That was just absolutely crazy. And then this one got me very excited. All of them got me excited. Which was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That is a great title. And it was also confirmed that Scarlet Witch is going to appear. And they also said that this movie was going to connect to the WandaVision series, kind of like how the Falcon and all the streaming services, Marvel streaming service, Disney Plus shows are going to connect to the cinematic universe. But they're saying that this is going to connect to the WandaVision show. So it got me thinking, because the title is the multiverse of madness. I'm not a big fan of multiverse. Yes, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, but that's a rare thing to happen. So it got me thinking. I'm like, okay, I kind of see where they're going. I have a feeling somehow, some way, Doctor Strange, Vision is coming back. I mean, come on. I think Doctor Strange is going to find a way for Scarlet Witch to probably go back to a different timeline, for Scarlet Witch to go back to a time where Vision is alive. But it also got me thinking, like, well, Vision wasn't alive in the 50s and 60s, but maybe they get another Vision and they go back in time way before Infinity War and the MCU and Iron Man even started. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. I mean, it's around the Captain America time too. Well, it's like 10 years after Captain America, the first Avenger. But I'm like, that's probably what I kind of think is happening. But I'm very excited. I love the Doctor Strange character, and I'm very excited to see that. And you see Doctor Strange intervene with a bunch of MCU characters a lot lately. I mean, you saw him go with Thor. You've seen him, obviously, with him in the Avengers movies, and now you see him with Scarlet Witch. So I think that is awesome, and I hope Chiwetel Ejiofor comes back as the villain. I hope he does, because, I mean, number one, he's just an awesome actor. And number two, I think his character was just great. Mordor, I believe his character was named. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see that. And something else that they talked about was this What If show, which is narrated by The Watcher, which is played by Jeffrey Wright, which Kevin Feige looks very excited for. And I am very interested in this show, because it's talking about how The Watcher may or may not intervene with characters, and he mostly won't, but there's times where he might, and that got me very interested. It's also gonna be a Disney Plus show, which I believe comes out in the summer of 2021. So that also got me very interested. So moving on from that, they went into the Hawkeye series. Now, all the stuff that I've been talking about was already rumored, and it's just confirming it, except for one thing that I'll talk about later at the end. They talked about the Hawkeye series, how they're going to introduce more of Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye is going to kind of stand back, which you kind of felt happening, and I think that's awesome. I love that Jeremy Renner's like, yeah, Kate Bishop's gonna be more of the forefront here. I'm gonna go bye. But something that I loved is that Kevin Feige said that there's gonna be more Ronin in this, which is awesome, because Ronin was probably one of my favorite parts of Endgame, when he was fighting, especially when he was fighting in Tokyo, I believe it was. That was some gory stuff. So nothing was really addressed there in the Hawkeye series. And that was kind of a cool animation that they put there. The Hawkeye series doesn't come out till fall 2021, so we're still a long ways away. 3 years away from the Hawkeye series. And then they went to... Well, I don't know. I believe they went to Thor right after. Now, Thor was a big one. Thor... Well, Taika Waititi is coming back to direct Thor 4. There will, for Thor, be a Thor 4. So, Taika Waititi is coming back to direct Thor, Love and Thunder, which is a great title. Now, I'm of two minds with Taika Waititi coming back. I loved what he did with Ragnarok, and I love him as a director in general. But we've seen before, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when directors stay on, except for the Russo brothers, we've seen the quality kind of decrease. We saw it with Jon Favreau, especially with Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. While I did like Age of Ultron very much, you definitely saw it with Joss Whedon from Avengers 1 and Avengers 2, and I definitely saw it with James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Either that was kind of an unpopular opinion, so let's just say that was kind of successful. And most people would say that with Peyton Reed, Ant-Man was definitely better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, I'm not saying that they have to be as good as their predecessors, but they were good. They were good movies. I mean, I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but they were solid movies. And the fact is, I'm in the minority when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But we've seen in the MCU, other than the Russo brothers, we've seen in the MCU when directors stay on that the quality just gets a little bit lower. So I hope that doesn't happen here. Now, I mean, we've seen with other franchises when directors stay on, it's amazing. I mean, Christopher Nolan's a big one. So, yeah. Another bomb that got dropped is, so they said that they're going to introduce a female Thor, which I think is a great idea. However, they said it was going to be Natalie Portman. Now, I love Natalie Portman. I think she's a great actress, Oscar winner. I think she's a great actress. However, I do not like her character at all in the Thor movies in the MCU. I just do not like her character at all. I think she's absolutely useless. I feel zero chemistry between her and Thor. I don't think she's horrible in the first Thor movie, but Thor: The Dark World, nah. She was just played too much of a role in that movie, in my opinion. Now, could this end up being a fantastic thing? Can I end up punching myself in the face for saying this? Maybe, probably. I have trust in Taika Waititi. However, I'm like, I don't really need her character back. I mean, you already have a strong and better female character, in my opinion, in Tessa Thompson with Valkyrie. And you could probably bring in another strong female character that's not Natalie Portman's character. Then that kind of hurts me because I do love Natalie Portman as an actress. I just don't like her character. So maybe Taika Waititi surprised me. Maybe he surprises me. So I'm very excited. However, I'm very hesitant about that one thing. So they went from Thor, and they went all the way back to Black Widow. Now, Black Widow, I'm excited to see it, mainly because I love spy movies, and that's obviously gonna be a spy movie. And they even showed footage of it that I hear it is, and it was kind of brutal, which sounds very cool. But you don't need this movie. I hear it's rumored that it's after Civil War. So that's what the footage hints at. But you don't need this movie. It's like, in what way does this progress the storyline? But I also hear that this introduces other versions of Black Widow. So that may be how this intervenes with the whole MCU storyline as a whole. So that might be what this movie does. Well, I am excited to see it mainly because it's a Marvel movie, and I'm also, because I love spy movies very much, and I think Scarlett Johansson does a fantastic job as Black Widow. However, for those reasons, I'm not as excited for it as other people are. And they brought out the cast. The cast is wonderful. You have David Harbour there, who is on a roll, and the panel host, she asked him, and she's like, well, are you excited to expand your fan base from Stranger Things? Who writes these questions? That is a dumb question. Obviously I'm excited, and he just looks pumped. Then you have Rachel Weisz in there, who is an Academy Award winner, and I know she's nominated obviously for The Favorite. So it has a stellar cast. I'm excited to see it. Again, I'm excited to see it. I'm just the least excited out of all of these movies for this one, just because I don't see it being a very important story to tell. But hey, you never know. So yeah, that's it. That was a wrap. No, I'm just kidding. There was some other stuff that came up. And then towards the end, Kevin Feige, at first I'm like, maybe they're saving some other movies for D23, because again, D23 is coming up very soon, next month. So he's like, I didn't even have time to talk about Black Panther 2, Guardians 3, Captain Marvel 2, because at first I was like, when are those movies? I mean, come on, those movies are so successful. How are they not talking about that? But then he addressed it, and they're probably going to talk more about it at D23, I'm guessing. And then he hinted at the Fantastic Four and the X-Men being introduced into Phase 4. Now, I'm all in for the Fantastic Four being introduced into Phase 4. However, the X-Men, while it might be fantastic, and again, I might be punching myself in the face after I see how they put in the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I do not want the X-Men inside the MCU. I want them as their own franchise, just like Fox had them. It's just getting tiring. You just don't need it. It's getting too cluttered. Infinity War was cluttered enough. I mean, it was getting to the point where it was just getting too feeling and it was about to get messy, but it wasn't. I love Infinity War, but it was about to get to that point where it's just like, oh my god, I can't breathe because there's so many characters to get to. And if you introduce the X-Men, that's just, I don't know how you're going to do that. It's just a lot of characters, because not only do you have the characters that you introduced in Phase 2 and Phase 3, you also have some older ones from Phase 1, and then plus the Fantastic Four, and then the X-Men. And don't forget Shang-Chi and the Eternals. The Eternals is already a lot. Shang-Chi, Fantastic Four is a lot, and then you have the X-Men. It's like, is this going to get out of hand? I have complete trust in Kevin Feige. He is yet to disappoint me in any way, and he's yet to disappoint the fans in general. So, who knows? And then at the very, 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 very end, he brings out Oscar, two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali. And he's like, you forgot your hat, Mahershala. What? Oh, no, you got your hat there, Mahershala. That's what he said. You got your hat. What? Put on that hat. And it was a Blade hat. And everybody went crazy. And they announced Mahershala Ali is going to be playing Blade. Now, I'm not totally familiar with Blade. Obviously, Wesley Snipes played Blade. played Blade back in the day in the 90s. I'm excited. I am definitely excited. I mean, Mahershala Ali is one of my favorite actors out there. He's brilliant in Green Book. He was fantastic in Moonlight, the two movies he won his Academy Award winner. The two movies he won his Academy Awards with. And obviously I'm excited for that. And you kind of see Marvel going for a lot of the Oscar-nominated actors and actresses. You saw it with Brie Larson. You're seeing it with, Angelina Jolie. Now you're seeing it with Mahershala Ali. So obviously, I'm excited. I mean, who wasn't? That was like the bomb. That was like the one thing that Marvel had under the rug, and Kevin Feige knew it, and he just dropped the bomb. And that ended up being a great panel. Now, I wanted to talk about something, however, before the end of this episode of the podcast. I know. It's the end already. What the heck? But something that I wanted to talk about is that the Russo brothers, I think it was the Russo brothers panel. I know I probably should talk about this when I was talking about the Russo brothers panel. This news came out that Captain America was going to get his head chopped off by Thanos in Infinity War. And I was thinking about that. I was like, can you imagine if that were to happen in Infinity War? That would have been nuts. And I was thinking, like, that's pushing to rated R, though. But then I was thinking, like, well, Count Dooku got his head chopped off in Revenge of the Sith, and that was PG-13. But Revenge of the Sith was very dark. I mean, so was Infinity War, but Revenge of the Sith was very dark. I mean, you had children dying. I found that to be very interesting. I'm like, what if? I get it. What if? Because they have a What If Disney Plus streaming service coming out. I'm like, what if that were to happen? It would have been a different movie. I mean, either the Captain America didn't really have a big role in Infinity War. He definitely had a big one in Endgame. But Infinity War not so much. But that would have been very, very interesting. And maybe there's like some sort of Russo brothers cut of Infinity War. Oh my god, that's insane. But speaking of cuts, however, I was walking around the Comic-Con area. I did not get passes in, sadly. And I was walking by this bench, and on the back it said, "Release the Snyder Cut." I'm like, oh my god. Are you serious? This is how out of hand. It's like, who cares? Who cares? Say what you want about Justice League. I had fun with it, but who cares about the Snyder Cut? It's like, I want Zack Snyder to get away from the DCU as possible, but so many people are talking about, where's the Snyder Cut? Where's the Snyder Cut? It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I get it, people bring it up once in a while, but it's getting so annoying. It's absolutely annoying. But anyways, yes, while I did not get into the convention, I did walk around, however, and I did see some awesome cosplay. I didn't have no clue how people survive in the heat and all that. Like, I saw somebody dress up as a Decepticon. Oh my god, I can only imagine all that sweat. Because it smells. I've been to Comic Cons like inside the convention center before, and there's been parts where it smelled like a sewer. Because there was so much nerdy sweat going on. Like, it was just. Ugh, it was disgusting. But, anyways, guys, that is it. That is it for Kid Critic here. We've gone on about an hour. We did not beat the record for episode 2. Should we just like sit here in silence until we beat that record? Nah, I don't want to. Anyways, this was a darn great episode. We ran over Comic-Con. We talked about all the panels. We talked somewhat about the Emmys. We talked about the producers. We talked about Funko Pops at San Diego Comic-Con. Can't go wrong with that. We talked about Phase 4, and it was just fantastic. It was a fantastic episode. I actually thought, you had Sony not there. You didn't have DC and Warner Brothers there. You didn't have Paramount there. I still thought this was a really fun Comic-Con. I know most people thought it was boring. I really liked it. That Tom Cruise moment was great. I really liked the Terminator panel. I dug the Russo Brothers panel. Obviously, the Marvel panel was fantastic. And the Game of Thrones panel, I see what people wouldn't like that one either, but I also enjoyed that one. I liked hearing their stories. So with that said, guys, tell me, what did you guys think of this year's Comic-Con? Hopefully, I probably will get into next year's, so it will be very interesting how next year's goes down. But however, with 2019 Comic-Con is a wrap. It's a wrap. And you know what else is a wrap? This episode of the Kid Kritic Movie Podcast, where we talk about movies and all that other fun stuff. And thank you for joining me on this wonderful episode of the Kid Kritic Movie Podcast. And as always, in every single episode of this podcast, don't forget to go up to the Kid Kritic channel and like all those videos and subscribe to the channel. Watch all of them. And if you're new to the podcast, watch the episodes before, because those are also fantastic episodes. And with that said, guys, as always, look out for the next episode of the Kid Kritic Movie Podcast, where we talk about movies and all that other fun stuff. And as always, and every single thing I make, at the end of every single thing I make, you know what I say? Peace.